elemental people. So, we're really close to the solstice. So it is the summer, the longest day of summer in the southern hemisphere, and the shortest day of winter in the northern hemisphere. So we are at that spot where we can connect with the elemental folk. So a friend of mine was talking to me yesterday about putting together something we should put together something for the fairies in our garden to invoke them, to bring us here at this time. It's a great time to connect with them in these ebbs and ebbs of our equinoxes and our solstices. So I am going to put together a little jar because I collected stuff from my garden. Like I have a bit of a hereditary garden. Heritage garden. So I have a plant that was planted by my great grandfather that I still have in a pot, which is a bracken fern, and I've still had that, and I've had that for ages. It's invaded the rest of the garden. I have some strawberries that I've got everywhere in my garden from my nan who died a long time ago, and my grandmother from her garden. I got violets, English violets that I've been looking for ever, and I found them the day of her funeral. So oddly, I have a heritage garden, and so I have a few things that are also from the garden that were here from previously, because this is an old block that had a big old garden on it here where I live. So when it's been converted, it's left trees behind that they didn't dig out, because that's what nature does. And so I've got a little bit of maple from one of the trees that's left behind, and I got a little bit of olive from the ones that have been left behind, and there's also these ferns that just really grow wild. So I'm going to make us a little nest, and so I'm going to put it together, and then I'm going to do a couple of fairy blessings to go with it, fairy blessing cards, because I do cards if you hadn't noticed, but this one's a little bit different. So I'm going to make a little bit of a fairy nest and show everybody so we can draw some fairies to the garden and get our blessings in this time, this big festive time, like solstice, Yule, it's all here, the festive into the new year. So bringing fairies into the garden. So I have a long line of fairies. My mother was a brownie leader. Fairies, before I was born. Well, I was little when my mum became a brownie leader, and my grandmother her family comes from the Isle of Skye, that's Scotland, the Isle of Skye where all the fairies are. So there's a little bit of fate in my blood. I actually have even got a pixie ear, it's pointed. So I'm gonna get some sugar. So we start with fairies. They're really sweet, they like sugar. So I got a jar, little bit Macona jar that I washed out so it didn't have a smell. I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar in it. Let me turn it down. Let's do this. Let's see what we make inside of this. So a little bit of sugar for the fairies. I'm gonna line that because it's a little bit wet in there. A little bit of sugar. And then I'm gonna line, let's put in my strawberries first because I've got the big leaves. Oh, and apparently the olive, so I've got the violet and the strawberry in there already, and a bit more strawberry because we sort of like making a little spot we want them to come into. And I want the fern because I really liked that. There's a nice little hint of fairy in their face, and so making a great little spot that they want to hang out in your garden. Alright, here we go. And I'm going to I got some grass like just out of the verge. So I'm going to put that in there for a little bit of like something to hang out on. Making it around in there so it's got its own spot in there. And the maple leaf, because that's from the heritage garden here. The heritage of this garden. And so I got one of the little flowers from outside. I thought that was cute. I would put that in there. And a little bit of olive. I'm not going to use all of that. I'm going to just throw a little bit of olive in just so they can have some Mediterranean feel. I'm going to fill that out just there. Alright, so that feels like enough in the jar. Maybe a little bit more of the bracken. That's because it's cute. That's great. And then I got a strawberry because my strawberries this year have just gone off. So a little strawberry in there for our little fairy friends because we want to invite them. And with that, that'll go straight into the garden for solstice. So I'm going to actually pull a couple of fairy blessing cards because I have, and I've got a whole heap of them that I got from Lucy Cavendish actually was a real resource for these fairy cards and the fae cards and the mer cards. If you're looking for a little bit of old wonder and old wisdom stuff, let's give us a fae blessing for this solstice. What's one fae blessing for this solstice? Ooh, I'm going to go with you. Ooh, a blessing of belief. Let's have a look at what that is. So 35. Number 35. Okay, let's have a look. A blessing for relief. This year, let's see. For belief. Okay. A blessing of belief. The fairy gift of restoring and strengthening your faith in the fairy. Your belief in the fairy may have wavered at times as the human world invades and your enchanted space. This blessing brings you the belief that it will help you through the days and the unshakable conviction you have allies and friends in the other realms. They will be with you to assist you and dance with you and appreciate you. The gift of belief restores a lot of peace in the soul. For when one loses our belief as part of ourselves, we can fade and dim and become quickly sorrowful, lessening the brightness of our days. So with this gift of return of belief, the sense that you have the fairies are entwined one with the other, and your soul grows and becomes to ripe again with belief. Let there be a sureness in you, a quiet, a loving conviction that there are indeed fairies that are part of your world, and that nature world is the holiest place that we've been given. Despair shall lift, doubt will vanish, and you will return to your faith. This will brighten your day, every day to come. Believe in fairy friend, believe fairy friend, for they believe in you. A gift of faith is now for yours a gift of faith of belief is now yours. Faith of belief is now yours. You know what? When we believe in the fairies, we get something a little bit light in our heart. You know, we create a little home in our place for a little bit of something green and life and connecting back to our world because they're there and the fairies are there. And I love that little blessing of belief. Like, they'll believe in you, you believe in them, it invigorates your day. Don't be afraid to be you. I'm going to go place this in my garden because that's where the fairies be. So, blessed be, may you have a great solstice, and I hope you get a little bit of fae in your life.